Good morning, and welcome to the Gribley's Folly Sunday Antisocial Hour, where I talk about everything that pissed me off this week and let all those wastes of human DNA still get to me on my peaceful Sunday morning. I hope you're doing well. You guys know, if you follow my channel, I made a video this week talking about a project that fell through. I was really excited about it. Didn't work out. I was very frustrated and wanted some retail therapy. I talked about buying an AR-15. And I didn't buy an AR-15. Although now they're back on sale for $3.99. They were $4.99. Now they're $3.99. You can get a dirt cheap AR for $3.99. I'm not going to do it. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not going to do it. But I came down here. I had my coffee. I had my Missouri Meerschaum, not so stubby, loaded with Orlick Dark Strong Kentucky, one of my favorite tobaccos. And I began my Sunday morning ritual of talking to you guys, communing with my brethren and sistren. And I got so angry telling the story of what happened that I basically can't stand myself right now. I'm having a hard time not turning over the table and walking out of here. In my own video. I'm like, screw you, video. Stop bringing up bad things for me. What it comes down to is this. I am a self-employed artist. I work incredibly hard to take people's money, right? The first thing I do to take their money is offer them something of value that is actually worth more than the money I charge for it. But, you know, I feel like I'm giving people a good deal. I offer a real thing of value. Here, please give me some money. That's kind of how that works, right? And then I let them critique it and I work with them to make sure that the thing that I offer is perfect for them. On top of that, I brush my teeth in the morning. I put on pants. I'm super professional. I respond to emails. I show up on time. I'm working hard here. And there's people in this world to whom I cannot give my money. They will not take my money to do work for me. I don't understand it. What is wrong? I was talking to Shovel and Shane and he had the exact same experience with the exact same demographic of people. It's like, you just can't find anybody that wants your money. Long story short, this project had been in the works since September of last year. That's like 4 years ago. And it involved multiple people revolving around this thing that an artist was going to produce for me. I don't want to get into details here because it might spoil something down the road and it'll make blood shoot out of my eyes. So it came down to the moment before the work was supposed to happen. This artist was exceptionally rude to me. Now I can handle that. I can handle it if I'm still getting a good product. I know a lot of artists, right? We're all, you know, egotistical bastards, and that's okay. But I can't handle it if the product isn't good. And I can't handle it if the professionalism isn't there. And I had a stack of $100 bills in my wallet that could be in this person's cash register right now. But they went one step too far. They were one step too far. It was a she, and she accused me of using her. Having known me for months on the phone and an email, even though she had a really hard time responding to my emails, but having only met me moments before this transaction was going to take place, and I had some critiques of the artwork and wanted some design changes, and she said, well, I feel like you're just using me. No. I am paying you. I am a customer. It's not using you, it's employing you. If I had $1 for every time I had a freaking art director for some corporate headshot, you know, gig over my shoulder as I'm shooting photos saying, no, change this, move that, move the other thing, then I would have a lot of dollars. I don't know what, I mean, every shoot, unless it's, every shoot. No, even people that have no idea what they're doing, like people, they're like, we just want some family portraits. We don't know anything about photography. They hire me. I still show them the product on the back of the camera. I'm like, look, this is how it's going to look. What do you think? Oh, well, can we do one more where my hair's not all messed up? You know, I'm a professional artist. That's how we work. That's how all of my friends work. I'm getting so mad. Blood is going to shoot out of my eye. Long story short, I didn't work with that person. And then I had a bubble in the sidewall of my tire, so I had to spend a couple $100 on that. So it's probably best that it didn't work out, but no. Don't think for a moment that I might try to see a silver lining in these circumstances, right? I've reserved the right to be eternally pissed off about this. Let's get to your questions before I rage quit and delete my channel. All right. Devil's Advocate, 2 A's, Advocate. Devil's Advocate asked about my funeral arrangements from the last video. Will there be a period of lying in state at the massage parlor with an opportunity to view the body prior to the wake at Amy Mac's? Yes. Yes, there will. And I'm thinking of doing a tour from, place to place, like Handlebar Mike, I'm sure. He's got that garage. He could totally put me up for a few days after I'm dead. I think though that, maybe like a Pope mobile with the bulletproof like glass could drive down the street from, is there going to be a Nashville Pipe Show next year? Typing Piper, I'm sorry I did not get to your questions last weekend, and I'm going to try to answer them here. You asked about my preference for typewriters. My preference for typewriters is that they rust into the ground like the obsolete technology that they are. But I guess from your username that is not your preference. So let me respectfully rephrase. I would take a Remington typewriter, not the plasticky kind from the 60s, a real solid Remington typewriter in the case of an apocalypse, because you can do a lot with a big hunk of metal. You can melt it down. You could make, an impact weapon out of it. You could use it as a door stop. You could even use it as a boat anchor. And I think that's what typewriters are mostly used for these days, right? Says the ham radio operator. All right, Typing Piper's next question was, and a lot of people asked me about this, including Happy-Go-Lucky Piper, Pie and Coffee. I'll read all the questions about this. Typing Piper, McClelland is dead. Long live McClelland. Thoughts on the community pipe community loss. Happy-Go-Lucky Piper, with the demise of Dunhill and McClelland, who do you think is going to be next? Maybe Captain Black. What tobacco are you planning to sell her next? Somebody asked, Pie and Coffee, discontinuation of Dunhill and McClelland. What would you do if they were to stop making Old Limey or even worse, brown sugar Pop-Tarts? Perish the thought. Now, Old Limey Bastard, I can handle. I love it. But as you will know, if you watch last year's top 5 tobaccos, it did get displaced by Boswell's Northwoods, which I really need to reorder because for a while you couldn't get it and now you can get it, but it's like $5 an ounce. That's expensive. Anyway, they actually, technically, Old Limey Bastard is no longer in production because of the FDA deeming regs. The shop that makes it is not allowed to mix it and put it together and sell it to customers. Now, they can sell you blindly the constituent tobaccos, tobacco number 1, tobacco number 2, tobacco number 3. They won't tell you what they are because that would give away the recipe for Old Limey Bastard, but they will sell you the constituent tobaccos blindly and tell you how to mix it. And you can stand there in the shop and use their scales and mix it. But they cannot sell you Old Limey Bastard. So, I mean, I haven't been to this shop in a long time. But I think it's safe to say that this tobacco is one step away from disappearing anyway. That's why I have a lot of it cellared. What do I think about McClelland? It's a damn shame. I agree, with Yardism about, Mr. and Mrs. McClelland. I don't know their names. Everybody seemed to know their names. I have no idea who these people are. Sorry. But they're good people. They run a good company. And they just didn't want to play ball anymore in the environment that we live in. Timber Drifter made a good point, that it's not just the FDA deeming regs. It's very tempting for us to want to rest all of our troubles on that because it's the government and it's an easy target. And I'm not saying they're good. I think they're a big part of what's going on, especially the Dunhill thing. But there are things afoot in the larger markets that prevent quality leaf from making it to the manufacturers. And that is a big problem. That's a big problem for the future of pipe tobacco. I will venture a guess and say that, yeah, McClelland is a huge loss. It really is. I wasn't very upset about Dunhill, as you know. McClelland, even though I am not that big of McClelland fan, I don't have a lot of blends in my rotation from McClelland. Any blends in my rotation from McClelland? I definitely feel it for the whole community and for people who depended on McClelland for their daily smoke. It is not so good. It's not so good. And I am hoping that this is a, I don't know if this is the proper term for this because I'm not an economist, but this is some sort of a market correction. You take two big names out and then that takes a little bit of the pressure off some of the other guys. They're able to get the better leaf. They're able to get more market share. Who knows? I don't know how that works. I would like to say that I think someone out there will always be growing premium tobacco and selling it. But I don't really know. I don't really know. I mean, tobacco has been with us for thousands of years. It's not going away. But good tobacco, it concerns me where we might be in 10 years. So I think, it is a good time to stock up. I'm not going to be panic buying any McClelland's blends. But it's time to start placing a monthly order again for me. I haven't placed a monthly order in a long time because my cellar grew and grew at a rate I was uncomfortable with. Just because I have other things I want to spend money on. It's time to revert to my old advice. When the deeming regulations hit, stay calm, stock up. Actually, that was Derek Tant's advice, and I said he was wrong, but I was wrong. Stay calm, stock up, and I think cellar both wide and deep. If you find a blend that you like, try other things like it and get bunches of those so that the thing that prevents me from just buying, 50 pounds of Old Limey Bastard is that tastes change. My tastes have changed just since I've been making videos. So you got to be careful. You don't want to cellar too deep and then have a bunch of stuff you don't want to smoke. If McClelland or Dunhill situation somehow affects the Pop-Tart Corporation, would you switch your allegiance to Snickerdoodle toaster strudels? What kind of cheap white trash trailer park redneck do you think? Toaster strudels? I mean, I am making this video in a garage, but that's totally beside the point. That question was from Mr. Tant, by the way, if you couldn't guess from the cheeky tone. Mr. Tant also asked Gribbs to ask the witch, what is the biggest misconception people have about modern-day witches? Also, what is your favorite depiction of a witch in cinema? Let me bring you the witch's answers in a moment. All right, I have cast the runes here. The crystal ball is becoming clear. The Ouija board arrow pointer thing is shifting and giving me, let's see. The biggest misconception about modern day witches is probably that no such thing exists at all outside of a high school phase after watching The Craft too many times. So I pressed the witch. Oh, is that an insensitive joke? That's because they pressed in the witch trials, they pressed the, I asked the witch further questions about this. And she says, from where I'm sitting, the majority public conception of a modern day witch doesn't exist. Outside of some locales, San Francisco, Asheville, North Carolina, Glastonbury, England. I doubt it takes up much space as a concept that could exist outside of movies. And I was like, yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. Like, people just don't think about witches. But also, there are some people that think about witches in terms of framing witches as adversarial figures to their religious doctrine. She says, oh yes, now that I think about it, the biggest misconception is probably that witches worship the devil. And her favorite portrayal of a witch in cinema is Charlize, is that how you say it? Charlize Theron. Have you ever noticed? Never mind. Charlize Theron as the evil queen in Snow White and the Huntsman. Oh, I forget who asked, but Ask Gribbs, have you thought about the purchase of some hip waders? Yes. And here's my decision on hip waders for the time being. I don't need to go fishing 12 months a year. Or if I do, then it needs to be challenging. It needs, I mean, not that it's not challenging already, but I don't have time to fish as much as I do already. So I would rather like squeeze my fishing into the summer months and not fish at all in the winter months, and do things like tie flies and stuff like that. Plus, I mostly can't afford them. I know that frog togs are cheap, but that's where I'm sticking for now. I have other things I need to spend my money on, like stocking up on tobacco. Pan Chuchin asks, what kind of question would you like me to pose to you? Whoa, Pan Chuchin, that's just a little too meta for this discussion. I'm thinking. Okay, I used up all my snark early in the video, so let's be practical with this. I really like scenario questions. Like, if you're stuck on a desert island that's full of zombies and Pop-Tarts and werewolves, what kind of tobacco would you like to smoke? Scratch the desert island thing. No, you're on an asteroid that we have colonized, and you're the last human being alive with zombies and Pop-Tarts and werewolves. What's your tobacco? That's the question I would like to answer. Back to the tobacco thing. Happy-go-lucky Piper asks, who do you think is next to fall? I really hope it's not Cornell and Deal. But I have a bad feeling that it might be. Because they're small, because the thing with Peace, where they've introduced so many new blends recently that might be affected by the FDA regs. I don't like it. I got a bad feeling. I think that's it for this week, except someone asked, what kind of booze are you going to serve? Oh, Happy-Go-Lucky Piper again. What kind of booze are you going to serve at your funeral? Are we allowed to bring whiskey? Do you like bourbon? Can I bring Glenlivet? Glenlivet is adequate. I think that if this is going to be at Amy Mac's house, you know, she doesn't do the booze thing. So maybe, okay, Amy, here's the deal. When you're talking to the funeral home, right? Maybe you could rent a bounce house for the yard, and that could be the booze tent. It's going to be hard to find a black bounce house, but we fill that thing up with air, just get a bunch of mini bottles because, you know, people are going to be throwing them at each other. And if you want to drink, just go to the bounce house. When I'm lying in state, like I can take a break and somebody can just throw me in the bounce house with everybody else and I'll just kind of be bouncing around. Don't embalm me because I want to stay loose. Wait, is it embalmed? Whatever keeps you loose. I don't want rigor mortis to set in because that would be no fun in the bounce house. Timber Drifter, whose videos I've been greatly enjoying lately, asks, how do you feel about green smoothies? I don't really feel anything about green smoothies. I'm not a big smoothie guy. I like smoothies, but they make so much mess. And if they're green, I have to sort of think, why the hell are they green? Robert Dixon asks, how do I keep my lenses clean on my cameras? I don't. I use protective filters, and I usually just blow on those and wipe them off with my shirt tail. I believe, I am of the school of thought. Lens caps are for children, or just people that like lens cap. You don't have to be so judgy about everything, Gribbs. Anyway, lens caps are not for me. And when you are taking pictures of a helicopter taking off from a forest fire, you want a protective filter on your lens, and you never know when you're going to end up taking pictures of a helicopter taking off from a forest fire. So it's the kind of thing where, like, yeah, I probably don't need protective filters at a wedding, but risk versus reward, I just slap a filter on there. I make sure the objective, which is the front element, is super, super clean. I slap a filter on there, and I don't take it off until I sell the lens. Or until I've cleaned it with my shirt tail so much that it's super scratched and I can't see through it anymore. And honestly, specks of dirt don't matter. They matter if they scratch the lens, but they don't show up in the image. If you're interested about this, you can do a little experiment where you take a piece of a sticky note, right? Like a tiny little, like maybe a 1/4 inch square, put it right dead center on your lens and then look through the viewfinder. You can't see it. Lost my bookmark. Next question, and I believe the last one. Billy Smock if you could go to any natural attraction, state park, national park, random wilderness, where would it be? What pipe would you smoke there? And what tobacco is best to scare away the bears? I have been reading, Billy Smock, a book by a UFO researcher named John Keel. And Iron Rails and Pipe Dreams, I have a question for you, sir, that I'll ask you in a private message. Remind me. Billy Smock, I would go to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, which is where this book is set, and it details the UFO wave of 67, I think, which also coincided with the appearance of a cryptid known as the Mothman. This is definitely where I would go, and I think I would smoke. I might smoke like Star of the East or something like that, something super heavy, like chewy almost, so that if the Mothman came to eat you, it might think twice because of all the latakia. And what pipe would I smoke? I mean, probably just a corncob pipe. You don't want to lose a really nice pipe running from the Mothman. That is it for this week. Remember, you can ask me anything. I will answer any question with 100% accuracy and honesty. Just use the hashtag AskGribs. And if you have a question for my witch friend, you can hashtag AskGribs to ask the witch. Also, I've got a Southern Baptist minister friend. He hasn't gotten any questions. He's going to feel left out. So hashtag AskGribs to ask the Bible thumper, I think would probably be a good one. Right? Right? All right. Keep the ends out for the ties that bind.